Ending. You think pain is here to break you. No. It's here to introduce you to the version of yourself you've never met. The version that doesn't quit when it hurts. Standing, the version that grows stronger with every blow. Comfort hides your potential, but pain drags it into the light. Every scar is proof you've survived. Every struggle is proof you can endure. So the next time pain knocks, don't run, open the door, because that's where the real you is waiting. Pain strips away every excuse you've ever built for yourself. It takes the layers of comfort, the safety nets, and the illusions you've crafted, and it burns them to the ground. When you're in pain, there is no pretending, standing, no hiding behind false confidence or easy words. It forces you into the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are when everything is stripped away. Standing. This is the moment most people run from, the place they desperately try to avoid, because it's uncomfortable and it's real. But in that rawness, something incredible happens. The mask falls off and your real strength is revealed. Not the strength you show on good days, but the strength that comes alive when you're tested. Pain doesn't just challenge your body, it exposes your mind. It asks the question, will you rise or will you fold? And in that moment, standing, you start to learn exactly what you're made of. When pain arrives, it doesn't knock politely. It kicks the door in. It floods your world with doubt, fatigue, and the temptation to quit. But if you stand there, even trembling, and decide not to back down, you tap into a part of yourself you've never met before. Standing. That part isn't built in comfort. It's built in the storm, in the struggle, in the hours when you feel you can't take another step, but you still do. Pain is a mirror, showing you both your weaknesses and your potential. You might see fear, insecurity, or hesitation staring back at you, but you'll also see resilience waiting to be claimed. Standing, every time you endure it, you're chiseling away the parts of you that don't serve your purpose. That's the hidden gift. It's not here to destroy you, standing, but to strip away the lies you believe about your own limits. Most people think strength is something you either have or you don't. Standing, but that's a lie pain refuses to let you believe. Strength is earned in the moments when everything in you is screaming to stop and you choose to keep going. Pain is the forge and you are the steel. Without the heat, without the pressure, without the relentless pounding, you remain soft and untested. Every difficult moment is a repetition. Standing. Every challenge is set in the gym of your mind. You don't just build muscles in your body. You build them in your willpower, your patience, and your courage. And each time you push through, you carry that strength into the next battle, ready to go further than you thought possible before. The truth is, you can't fake endurance in the presence of pain. You can't talk your way into resilience or pretend your way into grit. Pain will always find the cracks in your foundation. Standing. And that's exactly why you need it. It shows you where you're weak, so you can reinforce those places. It doesn't care about your past victories or your excuses. Standing. It demands that you show up fully in the moment. And when you do, you start to realize that you have more capacity than you've ever tapped into before. The person who enters pain is not the same as the one who emerges from it. You come out sharper, stronger, and more self-aware than before. Because you've seen your own strength with your own eyes. The world loves to celebrate the results, trophies, titles, achievements. But what really matters is the grit it took to get there. Pain is the hidden partner behind every great achievement. It's there in the early mornings when no one is watching, in the moments of doubt when you could have quit but didn't. People see the victory, but they don't see the hours of hurt that shaped it. Pain teaches you to value the process, to respect the grind, to understand that every ounce of struggle is a down payment on the strength you're building. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it's real. Standing. And that reality is what transforms you from someone who hopes into someone who knows. Pain will challenge your identity. It will make you question who you really are and what you actually want. In those moments, you have a choice. Standing. Retreat to the person you were or step into the person you're becoming. This choice doesn't happen once. It happens over and over in every moment of discomfort, In every trial that tests your will, and each time you choose to stand your ground, you take another step toward becoming unshakable. You start to build a foundation that can't be knocked over by fear, failure, or fatigue. And that foundation is made of every hard moment you've endured and refused to let break you. Some people spend their whole lives avoiding pain, thinking that comfort will keep them safe. But comfort is a liar. It dulls your instincts, weakens your resolve, and robs you of the satisfaction that comes from fighting for something. Pain, on the other hand, is honest. It doesn't pretend to be anything other than what it is, a test, standing. And every time you pass that test, you're rewarded with a deeper understanding of yourself. You begin to see that pain isn't something to fear, but something to respect. Standing, because it's the only teacher that demands you prove your lessons in action. In the end, standing pain reveals that your true strength was never about avoiding struggle. It was about embracing it. The moments you thought would break you were the ones that built you. Standing. The days you wanted to quit were the ones that rewired your mind for resilience. And the times you felt weakest were the ones where your true power was quietly growing. Pain doesn't hand you confidence. It makes you earn it through sweat, doubt, and persistence. And when you finally stand on the other side, you know without a shadow of a doubt that you can face whatever comes next. Discomfort is the birthplace of discipline. Standing. When you deliberately step into situations that make you uneasy, you strip away the illusion that growth can come without sacrifice. Every fiber of your being will scream to retreat, to find a softer path, to choose the easy option, but that's exactly when the real work begins. The body resists, and the mind negotiates, and every excuse you've ever rehearsed surfaces to convince you to quit. But if you plant your feet and refuse to give in, something shifts deep inside you. You begin to understand that discipline isn't born from convenience. It's forged in the moments you least want to endure. Standing. Discomfort is the training ground where you prove to yourself that you can do hard things without waiting for motivation to appear. The more you face it, standing, the less you need perfect conditions to take action. It's easy to show up when you feel good, when you're rested, and when everything is going your way. That's not discipline, that's preference. Discipline is doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. It's waking up early when the bed feels warm, standing, pushing through the last rep when your muscles are burning, and showing up to practice when your body aches. Discomfort strips away your comfort zone and forces you into a place where excuses have no power. In that place, your actions are no longer dictated by your feelings, but by your commitments. And when you keep showing up in discomfort, it takes the misunderstanding you're teaching yourself that your word to yourself matters more than your momentary comfort. That's when discipline becomes a way of life instead of a short burst of effort. When you embrace discomfort, you stop negotiating with yourself. Understanding. You stop this once, or I'll start tomorrow, because you know that every time you let yourself off the hook, you're weakening your own trust. Discipline is built repetition by repetition, decision by decision, until it becomes part of who you are. The hard truth is that comfort makes you soft standing. It convinces you that you have more time, that you can wait, that you don't need to push right now. But discomfort wakes you up standing. It reminds you that time is passing whether you act or not, and that the only way to grow is to choose the harder path now. This choice, repeated over time, creates a mind that can't be broken by momentary pain. Discomfort has a way of stripping you down to your raw determination. Without it, you'll never know the depths of your own resolve. When you're in the middle of the struggle, when your body is exhausted, and your mind is searching for a way out, you find out if your goals are stronger than your excuses. That's the moment where discipline is truly tested, when nobody is watching. When quitting would be easy and nobody would judge you for it, yet you push forward anyway. Those private victories, the ones nobody sees, are the moments that harden your will and sharpen your edge. And once you've built that inner fortitude, no external challenge can shake you. Every disciplined person you've ever admired has been shaped by discomfort. They didn't get there by waiting for inspiration or by moving only when the conditions were perfect. They earned their discipline in the grind, in the repetition, standing, in the countless hours of choosing the harder option. Discomfort demands that you decide who you want to be and then live up to it. It won't let you hide behind talent, luck, or natural ability. In fact, it strips all of that away so that the only thing left is your willingness to keep going when you want to stop. And when you've built that kind of consistency, you no longer have to rely on fleeting motivation. You've become the kind of person who does the work no matter what. A discipline built in discomfort is unshakable because it's not tied to mood or circumstance. It's rooted in identity. Standing. Once you've trained yourself to act in the face of resistance, you've removed the option of quitting from your mind. You know the voice that tries to bargain with you, the one that whispers that you can rest now that you've done enough. But you've learned to recognize it for what it is, weakness disguised as kindness. You know that comfort is temporary and that the satisfaction of staying true to your word will last far longer than the relief of stopping. This is why discomfort is essential. It teaches you to choose long-term victory over short-term relief. Discomfort also sharpens your focus. When you're in pain, there's no room for distractions or wasted effort. You zero in on the next step, the next breath, the next action. That kind of clarity doesn't exist in comfort. In comfort, you drift. In discomfort, you lock in. Every challenge you face in discomfort becomes a drill for your attention, training you to keep your eyes forward, even when the weight feels unbearable. And the more you do it, the less you're thrown off by life's curveballs, because you've trained your mind to remain steady under pressure. That steadiness becomes one of your greatest strengths, both in the pursuit of your goals and in navigating the chaos of everyday life. When you live in comfort, you build walls around yourself to protect from the unknown. But when you willingly enter discomfort, you're tearing those walls down brick by brick. You're exposing yourself to the uncertainty, the struggle, the fatigue. And in doing so, you're showing yourself that you can handle it. That knowledge becomes power. Each time you push through discomfort, standing, you're adding another brick to the foundation of your self-belief. And eventually, that foundation becomes so strong that you no longer fear the storms ahead. You know you've already built yourself to withstand them. The greatest gift of discomfort is the freedom it brings. When you've trained yourself to act regardless of how you feel, you're no longer a prisoner to your moods, your fears, or your doubts. You don't wait for the perfect day or the right conditions because you've learned to create results under any circumstances. That's what real discipline is. The ability to move forward when it's hard, when it's ugly, when it's the last thing you want to do. And once you've mastered that, there's nothing that can stop you from chasing what you want with relentless consistency. Fear is a shadow that follows you everywhere, whispering doubts and magnifying the obstacles in front of you. Standing. It feeds on uncertainty and thrives in the moments when you're about to step into something bigger than yourself. But pain has a way of shrinking that shadow. Once you've endured true discomfort and survived, the things you once feared lose their power over you. You've seen yourself at your lowest, pushed past your breaking point, and come out standing. That memory becomes a weapon against fear because you no longer operate from, "Can I handle this?" You operate from, "I've handled worse." Pain turns fear from a wall into a doorway. Standing. And once you've walked through it, you realize it was never as solid as it seemed. The confidence you gain isn't built on false optimism. It's rooted in lived experience. When you've been through the fire of pain, fear stops being an enemy and starts being a signal. It's no longer something that paralyzes you. It's a marker that you're stepping into a place where growth happens. Standing. Most people run in the opposite direction when fear shows up because they see it as danger. But those who've endured know that fear is simply discomfort in disguise. You start to recognize that the feeling of fear is almost identical to the feeling of excitement. It's the body preparing you for a challenge. Standing. Pain teaches you to interpret fear differently. Instead of shrinking back, you start leaning in, knowing that what's on the other side of that fear is a stronger, more capable version of yourself. Pain also strips fear of its illusions. Fear thrives on what ifs and worst case scenarios, creating stories in your mind that are far more terrifying than reality. But when you've been through real pain, you've faced the worst intangible form. You felt exhaustion that made your body shake, doubt that made you want to disappear, and still, you've kept moving. That experience makes imagined fears seem small by comparison. You begin to see fear for what it really is, a projection, not a fact. Pain trains your mind to separate what's real from what's invented, so you stop wasting energy on battles that exist only in your head. Fear loses its grip when you have proof of your own resilience. You stop asking if you're capable because you've already shown yourself that you are. Every painful moment you've endured becomes a reminder that you're built to withstand more than you once believed. That proof is powerful because it doesn't fade with time. It becomes part of your identity. Fear still shows up, but it no longer dictates your actions. You've trained yourself to respond with movement, to take a step forward even when your heart is pounding. That's how fear is transformed from a barrier into a motivator. It becomes the very thing that signals you're about to level up. Pain teaches you that the worst part of fear is often the waiting, not the doing. When you hesitate, you give fear room to grow, to multiply, to take root in your mind. But when you act, when you face the thing you've been avoiding, you realize that most of the suffering was in the anticipation, not the event itself. Pain conditions you to move faster toward the things that scare you because you know that action is the only way to dissolve fear. The more you do this, the more fearless you appear to others. Not because you don't feel fear, but because you've trained yourself not to let it stop you. There's a hidden shift that happens when you've lived through enough pain. Fear starts to feel familiar. You stop treating it like an intruder and start treating it like an old rival. You recognize its tactics, its timing, and its voice. And because you know it so well, it stops catching you off guard. Instead of reacting with panic, you respond with preparation. You're calm, focused, and ready because you've been here before. Pain gives you the experience to meet fear with strategy instead of surrender, and that changes everything. Pain also expands your threshold for risk. Fear often keeps people from taking chances because they're afraid of failing, of looking foolish, or of losing something important. But once you've endured real hardship, you realize that failure isn't fatal, and loss isn't the end. It's just another form of pain, and pain is survivable. That understanding frees you to take bigger risks, to chase bigger dreams, and to put yourself in situations where others wouldn't dare to go. You stop aiming for safe goals and start aiming for meaningful ones because fear is no longer the deciding factor in your choices. Another lesson pain teaches is that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to act in spite of it. You stop waiting to feel brave before you move because you understand that bravery is built in motion, not in thought. You don't need every answer, every skill, or every advantage to start. You just need to move toward the thing that scares you. And every time you do, you take away another piece of fear's power. That process becomes addictive because each victory, no matter how small, reinforces the belief that you can face whatever's next. Over time, pain transforms fear into a tool. It stops being a signal to stop and starts being a compass pointing toward where you need to go. The things you fear most often align with the things you need most for growth. Whether it's a difficult conversation, a bold decision, or a leap into the unknown. Pain has trained you to survive discomfort, so you're no longer deterred by the possibility of hardship. Instead, you see fear as a guide, a way to identify the exact areas where you need to push yourself next. And with every push, your capacity grows, your confidence deepens, and fear loses another layer of its hold on you. Every scar tells a story, and every story carries a lesson that shapes who you are becoming. Scars are not signs of weakness. Standing. They are proof that you faced something hard enough to leave a mark and strong enough to survive it. They remind you of the battles you fought. Standing, the struggles you've endured, and the moments you thought you wouldn't make it through but did. Pain leaves behind these imprints as a permanent record of your resilience. Some scars are visible, etched into the skin where the world can see them, but the most powerful ones are invisible, carved deep into your mind and spirit. They may not be seen, but they are felt every time you face a new challenge. They carry the weight of the wisdom you earned in the hardest moments of your life. When pain leaves a scar, it's easy to focus on the damage, but the truth is that mark is proof of healing. You didn't just survive, you rebuilt. In every healed wound tells you that you have the ability to recover, no matter how deep the cut. The process of healing teaches patience, endurance, and self-belief. It shows you that time and effort can transform even the deepest injuries into something stronger than before. That scar becomes a reminder that pain doesn't last forever, standing, but the lessons it leaves behind do. And when you carry those lessons forward, you stop fearing the next blow because you know you can rebuild again, standing. Pain becomes less of a threat and more of a teacher, one that leaves its signature on you so you never forget what you've learned. Every scar is a chapter in your personal book of resilience. When you look back on them, you remember the long nights, the mental battles, standing, and the physical strain it took to keep going. Those memories aren't meant to haunt you. They're meant to remind you of your capacity to endure. And they serve as evidence in the court of your own self-doubt. The next time you're faced with something overwhelming, you can point to those scars and say, standing, I've been through worse, and I'm still here. That kind of evidence is powerful. It silences the voice that tells you you're not capable. It replaces fear with conviction, uncertainty with trust, and hesitation with action. Pain doesn't just teach you about strength. It teaches you about meaning, standing. The moments that left scars are often tied to the things that mattered most to you. Your dreams, your relationships, your values, standing. The struggle was hard because the stakes were high. And that's the real lesson. The things worth fighting for will cost you something, standing. Every scar becomes a reminder that the pursuit of anything meaningful comes with challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt, standing. But the presence of the scar proves that it was worth it, because you were willing to go through the pain to protect or achieve it. You don't collect scars from things you didn't care about. You only carry them from the battles that mattered. Some scars will always be tender to the touch, standing. Not because you're still broken, but because they connect you to a moment that changed you forever. They are the bridges between who you were and who you became, standing. In those moments, pain stripped away your illusions, broke down your walls, and forced you to confront the truth about yourself. And in that truth, you found the strength to rebuild from the ground up. The scar remains as a marker of transformation and a physical or emotional reminder that the old version of you had to be tested in order for the stronger version to emerge. You can run your fingers over it, remember what it took, and carry that strength into whatever comes next. The beauty of scars is that they're not just for you. They're for others too. When you share your scars, you give people hope. You show them that pain can be endured, that healing is possible, and that survival can lead to something better. Your scars become a source of connection, a way to bridge the gap between someone's current struggle and their belief that they can make it through. They're proof that strength is not about avoiding pain, but about rising after it. And when others see your scars, they're reminded that they're not alone in theirs. That kind of shared resilience creates bonds that no comfort could ever form. Pain has a way of teaching you lessons that no book or speech ever could. It's personal, standing, it's direct, and it's unforgettable. You can forget advice, but you can't forget what it felt like to fight through something that cut you to your core. The lessons from those moments are engraved in your memory because you earned them through struggle, sacrifice, and perseverance. Every scar is a diploma from the school of hardship, a certificate of survival signed by the challenges you've overcome. And unlike paper, it can't be lost or destroyed. It's a permanent part of who you are. When you embrace your scars, you stop seeing them as flaws and start seeing them as features. They're the roadmap of your journey, showing where you've been, what you've overcome, and how far you've come. They are reminders that you faced storms and didn't just weather them. You came out changed, standing. And in that change lies the power to face future storms with less fear and more certainty. Every time you face something new, those scars speak up. They tell you that you've fought before, you've bled before, you've struggled before, and you've won before. And if you could do it then, you can do it again, standing. Pain will always leave its mark, but it's up to you how you wear it. You can choose to hide your scars, pretending they don't exist, or you can wear them openly as proof of your resilience. The world needs more people who wear their scars with pride, not because they're proud of the pain, standing, but because they're proud of the strength it built. Every scar you carry is a chapter in the story of your life, and it's a story worth telling. So the next time you see one, remember, it's not just a reminder of what hurt you. It's a reminder of what you overcame, what you learned, and how you became the person you are today. Scars are proof that pain was never the end of your story. They show that you went through something meant to break you, yet here you stand stronger, wiser, and more determined. Standing, they're the evidence that every hardship was a lesson in disguise, shaping you into someone more capable of handling what's ahead. Standing, they're not signs of defeat, they're badges of honor, earned through battles that tested you in ways no one else will fully understand. And every time you look at them, let them remind you you've been through storms before, and you carry the strength of every victory with you into the next one. And that is why pain will always be your greatest teacher.